Hello, everyone, and welcome to YUCI Talks. I'm your host, Angela Crockett, and today we have a special guest. We're going to be speaking with Dr. Myeni. Let me read his amazing, quick little bullet points from his bio. Dr. Myeni is a multidisciplinary scholar practitioner that includes occupational health, hygiene, science, wealth management, leadership specialist, business coach, and mentor. Dr. Myeni is a respected and sought after speaker and measures his success on how much he contributes to the development of others. Magnificent, Dr. Myeni. Welcome. Welcome to YUCI Talks.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here and thank you for inviting me.
It is our pleasure, Dr. Myeni. Let's dive right into it. Bring us from start to now, where you are and your vision on developing young people and helping those young people reach their full potential. And then, if you don't mind, go into your background for us.
Thank you. My background basically goes back to when I was very young, at a very young age, when I was a student, when I was a young boy. I always wanted to become an entrepreneur. So I cultivated that thought of becoming an entrepreneur with the aim of saying how can I be of value, looking at the time of unemployment that was being forecast. And then I was saying to myself, if we are being told that there is so much, the only route is actually not to go and look for work, but to become an entrepreneur, and so that I can be of value and contribute to reducing the level of unemployment at the time. So along the way, I initially didn't have a good idea as to how I was actually going to get started, but I knew what I wanted to do and to achieve, but I did not know what I was going to be, how I was going to achieve that. Then I attended a few seminars at Matric, Standard 10 at the time, seminars on entrepreneurship. I remember I was traveling by train from Durban. Durban is one of the cities in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, traveling by train, attending those seminars. I didn't really know exactly how it was going to pan out at the end, but I was saying, let me do this because it looks like this is the way to go. But fast forward, when I started working, this thing of becoming an entrepreneur was still lingering in my mind. I started working, got good jobs. Later on, I decided that time was right for me to actually realize my dream of becoming an entrepreneur. That was about 2004, actually 2005, February 2005, when I left my formal employment. The idea there was to actually create employment opportunities, but I didn't know the magnitude at the time. I didn't know the actual magnitude of unemployment, especially because we were now a free country in South Africa. Opportunities were there for everyone on paper. But then when I started to become an entrepreneur, it's only then that I realized when people started sending their CVs, people applying for jobs, and then it became worse as the years progressed. It became worse. So as it is now, it's worse than how it was 10 years ago. A number of young people finish varsity, but there is no employment. Then I decided to create a vehicle called Senintle Graduate Development and Internship Program, whereby we take graduates, especially science graduates and environmental health graduates, after finishing their work, we give them practical work experience. We give them skills so that they'll be able to become employable. Because when they ask for employment, when they apply for employment, they always ask for experience, but they don't have experience. So then we found a niche of actually assisting those young graduates. But at the same time, I must say it was also a benefit for us as well to take those young graduates. Because whilst we were teaching them, we also had people that we could actually work with. So they were of value, they were of benefit. So it became a mutual benefit. So in the process, we realized that actually the program is working well. We got to a stage where now we started advertising properly, even on LinkedIn, on social media, advertising for graduates to actually become part of our organizations. Let me stop there for now. Let me pause.
Yes, and that's phenomenal. And as you were speaking, thoughts were coming to my mind. Obviously, you're a highly educated man, and you encourage education, formal education. What do you say to those young people who do not have a desire to go the route of a formal education, but have a creative talent, and that's where their passion lies? What advice would you give that person, and how would you help them reach their goals?
That's a great question, actually, because even here in South Africa, initially, we were always thinking about formal education. And the initial thought that has always been prevailing was that without formal education, there's nothing that you can do. You don't have future without formal education. But as time went on, actually we realized that people have got different skills, they've got different talents. So even if someone does not have formal education, but they can still find ways of being of value to society by using their natural talents, using their natural abilities. So I'll say that if opportunities are not there for going the route of formal education, or if someone does not desire to follow that route for whatever reasons, for whatever genuine reasons, it's not the end of the world. There are always opportunities. We've got a lot of people who are good examples who do not have formal education, but they are of great value to society. Everyone is looking up to them. So I'll say that the most important thing is to look at the talents that we have as individuals, the skills that we have, informally acquired or formally acquired, but looking at the talents, because everyone has got a talent, everyone has got some skills. But unfortunately, we've been channeled to think that it's only the formal education route, especially these days when there is so much knowledge, there's so much information. We can self-educate ourselves, we can teach ourselves, self-teach ourselves. So opportunities are there for everyone. So in a nutshell, it's not doom, it's not gloom. If I don't have formal education, I must just look around and see what skills do I have? How can I become of value to society with or without formal education?
That's fantastic. Magnificent advice, because, my parents, my sisters and brother always, they go to college, you must get the formal education. And that wasn't for everyone. And people have been able, family members as well, to forge a successful career and lifestyle for themselves. Success is defined, in my mind, I don't know if you agree with me, Dr. Myeni, on that which you aspire to be, what you're passionate about, and you follow that goal and you hit the mark. That's success. Whether you are a trash truck, person who, picks up the trash, but you love it and you do it to the best of your ability, you're serving. And I would think it goes down to serving. Would you agree with me on that?
Certainly, because even myself, whatever I've been doing, whatever I did in the past, I always try to figure out how can I serve? In whatever role, in whatever capacity, how can I serve? So ultimately, it's not really about me. It's about the community that I'm trying to serve. So in other words, when I look at the things that I do, I always look at the needs of the community. How can I be of value? How can I be of service to others? And it is in identifying that ability to serve that I find deep fulfillment, deep-seated fulfillment. Even at night when I sleep so peacefully if I have served rather than if I've been served. Unfortunately, when it comes to leadership, it has become common that in most cases, leaders want to be served, and that is quite unfortunate. But it's all about being of service, being of value to others. And I always say, even to young people at our institutes, at work, that if I coach you, if I mentor you, my idea, my wish, my goal is that you should become better than I am. I even say that if you can't become better than I am, then I would have failed in my duties as a coach, as a leader, because I always try to serve and I always value my success by how much service, how much of value I am to other people, rather than just to become pompous about whatever achievements that I might have. It's all about other people. It's all about service.
Absolutely. 100% agreed with you on that. What do you think some of the challenges are today that the young people face?
I think young people today face a lot of challenges. We faced a lot of challenges even in our times, but I think now they've just multiplied, and also they are of different nature, because young people now, they're exposed to a lot of things, including social media. They are exposed to things that are happening in other countries. So when it comes to some of the challenges that I can pinpoint, we've always had peer pressure when we're growing up. But these days, nowadays, that peer pressure is there in the face of young people. It is there because now they easily compare themselves to people that are on social media, people that are so-called successful, without actually realizing, without knowing how they actually obtained that success. So because of the way things are happening so fast and so quick now, so young people, they become, they don't think carefully about the success of other people. They just look at other people and say they are successful, but they don't actually try to analyze to say how have they actually acquired whatever wealth that they flash on social media. And also the other issue is that of fake success, which we see all the time. We see people showing off with fancy cars, fancy property, fancy wealth. So it diverts the attention of young people instead of focusing on, like you were saying earlier, on themselves in terms of their personal development. They focus on what other people are achieving. As time goes on, as years go on, they realize that they've wasted time. So peer pressure, comparing themselves to others, exposure to a lot of things in the name of freedom, which is all and good, but at the same time, not taking responsibility for the actions that come with whatever we perceive as freedom of whatever we have. So those are some of the challenges that are actually pressing. When it comes to education, it's another huge problem even here in South Africa, whereby we find that young people are now faced with a challenge of having gone to school to study. They've ticked all the boxes, they've done all the right things, but there's no employment. In such a way that others start saying, you see, those who did not go to school, they start saying, you see, you wasted your time. So that puts pressure on the young people who have gone to school. And I always say to them, whatever you've studied, it's not wasted. It's just a matter of time. So if you are not working, you are not employed yet, but you've got all the necessary qualifications that will actually propel you to your future. And it does happen. It does happen. So in that sense, it's important that young people do not become despondent. They do not lose hope. They must just keep pressing on. They must persevere in the face of all the challenges that they are facing. And of course, growing at times in very harsh environments that young people are growing under these days, exposure to a number of things from the international community, exposure to drugs, exposure to a number of substances that destroy their future. I always say that when we are born, when we are young, at the palm of your hand, you've got the world. And it's up to you. You can make a decision whether to squash this world and crush it, or to nurture this world and make it a better world for yourself and for everyone around you.
Yes, and as I think about the numerous amount of young people that I encountered on a daily basis, and some of them are very tough nuts to crack to get through to. And again, one of the biggest enemies, and I hate to call it an enemy because it also is a very powerful tool, is the internet, is social media. It can work for the good, but it also can work for the bad because they're, like you said, they're measuring themselves and comparing themselves to what looks successful. How do you, and this is a challenge, and I ask this for myself as well, what do you say to them? How do you break through that stereotype, that what they see, which looks, and guide them to understand what real success really is, what it's all about, and how you attain it, and how to be a person of value and your character? How do you overcome that, Doctor?
I think it's very difficult. When I came from Durban is about 6 hours from here where I am in Pretoria. So when I came to Durban, I always said to myself, I'm going to Johannesburg, a very busy city where there are a lot of things happening. Then I said to myself, I'm going there, I will spend time just writing. Because I don't know anyone there, I'll spend time focusing on myself, developing myself, writing. I even told myself I was going to be writing books, writing articles. I was going to be focusing on myself. So it's not easy. It requires discipline. So I always say to young people, being disciplined, knowing what you want, having a vision for your future. You do not have to know how you are going to get there, but knowing what you want for yourself, for your family, and for your community. Once you know your vision, once you know your goals, what are my goals in life? What are my goals in my community? What is my vision? What is it that I want to achieve? as an individual, as a person, then it becomes very difficult for you to be swayed the other way. There'll be a lot of challenges. If I say it's easy, I think I'll be misleading young people. It is difficult. But once you set your goals, your purpose, then the load becomes lighter. Because whatever happening, whatever you do, you measure against your vision, your purpose, your goals, even your hobbies. You say, how is this hobby leading myself? How is it leading me towards my goal? Then if it takes you away from your goal, then you decide to say, no ways, this is not going to be my hobby. Even the choice of your friends, people that you associate with, you ask yourself, how are these people contributing to my purpose, to my vision, to my goals? If they are taking me away from my goals, it's time to choose other friends. Because they always say that you are the average of the 5 people that you associate yourself with. So it's important to have that goal, because now even the book that you buy, if you get into a bookshop, you don't buy any book, because you are saying, if I buy this book, how is it going to serve my purpose? How is it going to direct me towards my goals and my purpose? So discipline, having a vision, purpose, goals, perseverance. Because once I have those, then I measure my success not against what others achieve. They can achieve it, it's good for them, but I measure against my purpose, my vision, my goal for me.
Fantastic. Having a mentor or someone to look up, someone that they can trust and feel comfortable to be open and honest with, helps. Who in your life, as you were coming up during your journey, was that anchor, was your support, was someone that inspired you?
At home, my mother was always my inspiration. I was raised by a single mother. My father left me when I was 9 years old. He passed on when I was 9 years old. And I always prayed to God to keep my mother. So the way my mother raised us, 5 children, single-handedly, always inspired me to say that one day I want to do something good for my mother. So I always look up to her. Whatever I did as a young boy, I always understood her pain of raising 5 kids alone under very difficult conditions. Children demand naturally, they demand. So I always looked up to her, the way she was soft spoken, the way she was resilient. And I understood that it was not easy for her. And I understood that there were moments when she was saying, how can I achieve whatever I want to achieve for these children? But she continued, she persevered. So I think those qualities I adopted from her, because I always looked up to her, even in terms of how she focused on raising these 5 children, raising them just like a chicken raising the young chickenlets, just keeping them, trying to keep them safe. So I always looked up to her, even the way she made it a point that she transported us from the rural areas single-handedly, taking us to the urban areas for the betterment of our lives. So even in terms of leadership, I always looked up to her as a leader in my life, as a model in my life. I might not have done everything that I wanted to do for her, but I am who I am today simply because of my mother, someone that I really looked up to. So my mother has always been my model, and I because of her, I developed some qualities up to a point of saying, if I do this, how will it affect my mother? Will it disappoint her, or it will make her proud? So I always ask myself those questions. Whatever I did, I ask myself, how is this going? Whether she sees me or she doesn't see me, if my mother can hear this, how will it affect her? And that modeled me, it shaped my character as a man that I am today.
I appreciate that, you sharing that, because we never know what challenges the young people have. And unfortunately, there are young people that they grow up in a single family home where there's just a mother, and she has to be both the mom and the dad, or the circumstances have been so tragic that it's very difficult for the young people to find a healthy escape. Do you have siblings? You said 5, excuse me.
Yes.
Were all siblings in the same mindset that you had, as far as wanting to make your mother happy, make your mother proud? Did they see it from the eyes that you saw it from?
We were a very neat family, a very close family. But children are not always the same at home. They differ in terms of their thinking, in terms of what they want. So even at home, we're not of the same mind in terms of thinking, in terms of what we want for ourselves. We all wanted good things, great things, but how to achieve those different routes. So we were not the same. Even up to now, we are not really the same. We're of different minds. But we had to find that thing that will keep us united. For example, in my case, when it was Christmas, when my siblings were enjoying themselves, maybe with friends, I always stayed at home. December the 31st, I will be staying at home during those festive seasons, different festive seasons. I'll be staying at home with my mother because I always wanted to be with her. Whereas whilst my siblings also valued my mother, but they were not really of the same mind in terms of saying, let me be with her all the time. So there is always that difference in families at home, even in our family as well.
I can relate to that. My mother is no longer with me. She passed in 2010, but when my mother's health was declining, I have 4 siblings. I was the one that stood up and was there with my mother every step of the way, and it was an honor to be there for her, the woman that bore me, the woman who took care of me, the woman who truly loved me and was an example of what a woman and how I should carry myself as a woman, as a queen. And for that, it was like I said, my honor to help her until she took her last breath. I believe that those who value their mom, their dads too, as well, because I had a father. My father was there. He lived to be 80 years old. So I also saw from the man how a man's supposed to treat a woman. He was a great example of that. It's so helpful. And I do want you to talk about your career more, but I feel like this message is so paramount because a lot of young people, a lot of people, period, cannot face the challenges head on. The things that go, those curveballs that happen in life, really, at times they give up. They don't want to. They decide that they're going to find something else to replace that pain. So this message is absolutely essential. There's somebody that's listening that needs to hear this. I'm a true believer of that. I believe this is the reason why the conversation has gone in this direction. And this is one of the most powerful platforms, I believe, with the YUCI Talks, is because every interview, every conversation is unique and is guided by God, what do the people need to hear? Who needs to hear a certain message? So I appreciate your honesty with that. And let's segue into talking about you and your career and what you're doing there in South Africa. Please educate us on that.
Thank you. I'm in the field of occupational health and hygiene, as well as in the field of leadership development. So I studied science at school and at varsity. I always ask myself, once I finish studying, where will I work? Because I did biochemistry, but I was asking myself, where will I work? But I always wanted to work at the Department of Health, but I didn't know how I was going to actually get there with my biochemistry, because I didn't want to work in a laboratory doing titration and so on. I didn't want to do that. So I always ask myself that question. Then when I was doing my master's in medical science, I happened to get 2 jobs. I applied for a number of jobs, and then I happened to get 2. One was I was going to become a lecturer, medical science lecturer. The other one, I was going to become a medical scientist, a natural medical scientist. Then I chose one to become a medical natural scientist, and I didn't really know much in terms of what I was going to be doing. So I didn't really choose it because I knew the path. I knew all the routes. But I chose it because I did not want to become a lecturer, an academic. So I followed that route all the way, which led me into occupational health and hygiene. So today I'm an occupational hygienist, basically looking at different workplaces, assisting companies to ensure that the work that employees do does not cause harm to their health now and in the future. So I followed that route. And then along the way, because I always wanted to become an entrepreneur, I said to myself, I need to develop my leadership skills and my leadership capabilities, not because I needed to be promoted at work, but for my own self-development, for building capacity for myself as a leader. Then I went into the route of the Master of Business Administration, as well as the Doctor of Business Administration, specializing in leadership. After that, I then formed the Institute for Leadership and Research, which has actually helped me in terms of leading, in terms of coaching, in terms of mentoring, in terms of working with everyone, but also understanding the needs of other people, especially young people. So that route from science to leadership development has actually assisted me a lot in terms of being able to execute my task. Even in my organization, Senate Occupational Health and Safety, Occupational Health Services, it has helped me in terms of creating visions for our organizations and also being able to manage and lead other people. So those are the 2 things that I am currently doing: leadership development, coaching, mentorship on one hand, and then on the other hand, occupational health and hygiene. So in all the things that I do, I've always been asking myself, how can I be of service to others? How can I serve better? How can I add value to others? So I'm actually grateful to have an opportunity, a platform of having organizations that are actually assisting me, to have this platform of being an entrepreneur, in that sense, being able to take decisions that assist others.
Fabulous. You truly, your life speaks of service. Your life speaks of purpose and value. So it's no wonder that you would take that direction and be in the career path that you are. Thank you for that. What advice would you give someone that someone's that wants to follow in the same footsteps as you in that career choice and path that you have chosen?
I would say that follow your passion, your vision, your goals. So if you want to be of service to others, if you want to be a leader that serves others, it's important that you read a lot, spend your time reading, and find books that will actually motivate you, that are going to cultivate your leadership skills, that are going to develop your leadership capacity. Find those books. There are quite a number of them. You don't even have to have money to be able to buy them or to gain access to them. The information is freely available, even in the internet. I know internet is not always available to everyone, everywhere, but if you have an opportunity to have access to the internet, use it in a manner that is building you, that is developing yourself, that is developing your qualities towards your goal. And also find someone that you are going to look up to. Find a mentor. Identify someone that you are going to use as a mentor, someone that will give you not necessarily answers, but someone that will serve as a guide, someone that you can bounce your ideas with, someone that you can share your thoughts with, not necessarily someone that is spoon feeding you, giving you the answers all the time, because you need to be an independent thinker. So you find somebody that is going to coach you, mentor you, and also listen to tapes that are motivational, that are inspirational, that are building you. So decide consciously on the things that you listen to, on the things that you read. Decide consciously on the people that you associate yourself with. Look for that northern star and follow it all the time. Be able to think independently. In that sense, you are going to be able to be a person of value, a person that is not being, what do they say, being pulled by string by other people. You are going to be a person of independent thinking, a person with an independent mind, a person that has got the entrepreneurial mindset. And then you will then be able to identify on your own what is wrong and what is right, without saying this thing is right simply because someone says it's right, but simply because you believe deep down that is the right thing, and you can be able to motivate on your own that this is the right thing.
Exceptional. Is there anything that comes to your mind that I haven't asked or we haven't spoke about that you would like to share?
There is a book that we actually put together some time back, which it's entitled Dear Son. Earlier on, you spoke about the way young people grow up under different environments, under different conditions. So some people approached me some time back to write a letter. So they compiled together letters to sons. So the book is entitled Dear Son. So then they invited me to actually come and talk to those people during the book launch. And we're talking to young people, and after they had read that book, Dear Son, and they were expressing how much they were touched by the letters that were written by the fathers, written by the men to sons that grow up in an environment where there is no man at home, giving them hope. So I was quite impressed and I was quite amazed by how much it meant, actually, that those letters meant to those young people. So when it comes to issues of young people, I always think of the impact that even young people themselves make to other young people. Because when those young people were speaking, they spoke like they were adults, speaking to us as men who were there, speaking to the audience, and also speaking to other young people. So one message that I can actually pass to young people is, young people can have an impact. So at times they may not see the impact that they actually have on others. Young as they are of value. They've got a lot to offer. Just because they are young does not mean that they've got nothing to offer. Young people have got a lot to offer to adults as well as their peers. So the message that I may want to convey to young people is, you really have a lot to offer. Don't look down upon what you have. Don't compare what you have to what other people have. Look at what you have and say, how can I make best use of what I have? You will be amazed and surprised how many people actually want that thing that you think it's of no value, of no use. You'll be surprised how many people actually would like to hear you say something. Young as you are, you can actually change how adults think. You can actually change how your peers think. So don't look down upon what you have. Embrace it, be grateful for it, and build on it. Use it as a foundation. So those young people who came to the book launch of Dear Son, they amazed me, the way they spoke. And I was wondering, asking myself, if they actually realize how much potential they have, young as they are, because they are the future leaders. And it begins not in future, but it begins now. So you don't wait 20 years later and then you say, I am a future leader. You build that, because there are no miracles. You build it over time, preparing yourself for that leadership role, so that when the time comes, you are right and you are ready. Don't get to a point where there's an opportunity and you can't take it because you are not ready. Les Brown usually say that it's better to prepare for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and found not prepared. Thank you.
Yes, yes, and yes. Where can we get Dear Son?
It's available on Amazon. I think it's there on Amazon. It's I can also send the authors' names, the editors' names, but it's on Amazon. Dear Son, it was published around probably about 4 months ago. 4 months ago. So now they're using it in various institutions for young boys, giving them hope.
That's awesome. Where can our viewers find you? Where can they keep up with what you're doing?
I'm available on social media. I'm not very much a social media person, but I try to post quite often, especially on LinkedIn. And also, I'm available on Facebook, Sibongiseni Myeni. I'm available on social media, Facebook. And also, if anyone perhaps wishes to maybe exchange whatever with me, please feel free, be more than welcome to do so.
Thank you, Dr. Myeni. Your words of wisdom are all inspiring and life-changing. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And I pray that those that are able to hear this video, that your voice, this interview, will be profoundly impacted in a positive way by the words that you have spoken today. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity to speak to YUCI. I'm greatly honored to have been invited by you, and I wish you well in the amazing work that you are doing, touching the lives of multitudes of young people, giving them inspiration, giving them hope, which is much needed, especially these days. I wish you well in the work that you are doing. Thank you.
God bless you. God bless you and thank you, sir. Well, everyone, there you have it. Again, I pray that you have been as deeply touched as I have been today listening to Dr. Myeni's words, pearls of wisdom. They truly are empowering and will transform your life. Well, again, our time is up, everyone, and we just appreciate you joining us. Again, we hope you enjoyed it. We hope you've been touched. And if you want to find more about us, please visit our website. I do believe it's under construction now, but our website is youthunitedcouncilofindia.org. That's youthunitedcouncilofindia.org. And you'll be able to find out what's going on. And we'll be posting our videos and sharing all the wonderful content and information on people that we've been speaking with along the way. Again, we thank everyone. And until next time, create a great week for yourself. Ciao, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Hey, Sakiti.